Baz Bammy boy from the Daily Mail in London. I want to say,
Talking about the most creative science fiction in the 90s, The Fifth Element will undoubtedly top the list. The movie had the record of being the most expensive in that era, and it used new, innovative special effects. These are just a few facts in this video waiting for you. Do you want to learn more? Keep watching. Number 20. The Divine Language. One of the biggest highlights in the movie is the divine language. The strange language is fictional and has no connection to any tribe or country. How did they come about the language? The language was not inspired by the divine, as you might think, but rather by Luc Besson, the movie director. After Besson developed the whole divine language idea to complement Lilu's extraterrestrial capability, Milla Jovovich, who played Lilu, had trouble with the language. She can have a problem since she already has her head filled up with 4 languages, which she can speak very fluently. Here comes a new language, a fictional one to be precise. How will she get over the problem? As a person with varied language knowledge, she believed some modifications could be made to the experimental language to improve it. She did precisely that, modified the language, and got a more refined version. The language had 400 words. There won't be a need to talk about the grammatical rules guiding the language, because there are none. Learning the new language proved challenging. You will wonder how they overcame the challenge quickly. Was a dedicated language tutor employed to do the training? There was no need for such a complex solution. Jovovich and Besson find time together to communicate in the new language and most times send written letters strictly in the language. This communication made the language more familiar. In no time, the mountainous barrier was flattened out. Not only was Jovovich able to act excellently in the movie, seamlessly speaking the language, but she could also do so while acting. Report has it that Jovovich and Besson were able to have full conversations in this language by the end of the filming. How remarkable. Number 19. Luc Besson wanted a bright planet. Do you remember those teachings in science class about the planet being a dark place due to low light penetration and materials to reflect the light? Luc Besson is one of those bored with the dark planet stuff. Here in his movie, he got his own rules and could make his planet illuminated. Therefore, get the film rolling and let there be light. Besson demanded that most of the action shots in the movie take place in broad daylight. According to the report, he said he was tired of the repeated pattern of using dark spaceship corridors and dimly lit planets. Since all these planetary stimulations are fictions, why can't he get the lighted one? Here you have it, Besson. Why did the action scene in the space environment get lit up? The answer just got served to you. Also, Besson wanted a brighter, cheerfully crazy planet instead of the common, gloomy, realistic one. Besson knew that the planet should have a gloomy look to be realistic. But who cares about reality? It is a fictional movie, and everything in it should be transmitted out of imagination, caring less about the friction of reality. That was a good judgment. At least everyone enjoyed the well-lit planetary action scene, did you not? Number 18. When did Luc Besson write the story?
It's great to be here. You actually were born, a few miles outside of Paris?
How surprised will you be to hear that the captivating and complex movie was a high school invention? Some will doubt it, but it is the absolute truth. Luc was just 16, approaching 17, when he got his pen busy to write the iconic movie. So why did he spend his time brainstorming himself in writing a movie, something beyond his age? It was reported that the young boy conceived the story during high school, perhaps triggered by those thrilling science classes and invention stories. If he couldn't go through the stress of inventing a real machine, at least he could create an imaginative world beyond the scope of the human world. It's a good thing he did that throughout the movie. The new invention also had a therapeutic effect on Besson. He was a lonely boy, so having a fictional environment gave him a lively space for his imagination. We can't deny his ingenuity. Strangely, the script remained well kept in his archive until his 38th year, when it became a worldwide sensation. The minor planet that provided Besson with a different world accommodated the imagination of many people. Guess what? The movie got an excellent reception, and people were willing to watch it. We can't but credit Besson for the superb job. We already know when Besson wrote the movie, but why did he use a driver as a hero in the film? That looks odd. I mean, very bizarre. He could have made the hero a scientist or another top intellectual career. Why driver? According to the report, Besson's father worked as a taxi driver as a second job. The taxi driver's job was to get more money to finance the Besson art school. One of the ways that Besson used to appreciate his father's great work was by making the hero a driver. It is common for Besson to invest in a taxi driver with an essential character in his movie. Whenever you see that in his film, count it as a way to honor his father. Number 17. How did that fascinating song? There are many complex tasks in the movie. You will soon know what this means. Earlier in the video, we discussed the difficulty surrounding speaking the divine language. Well, since that was a big problem for Milla Jovovich, at least it wasn't impossible to overcome. This next difficulty poses the biggest challenge. Let's start by asking your view about the music in the movie. You like it, right? The heavenly sound, angelic voice, and harmony. You will be surprised to hear the challenge that resulted in achieving that spectacular song. Without doubt, Inva Mula was the voice behind the song, while Eric Serra was the brain behind the music composition. After Eric was done with the composition of the sheet music for the diva dance, she gave it to the soprano Inva to bring it alive in a diva's voice. That was where the challenge lay. Inva studied the music and analyzed the pitch, the high and low, and the quick vocal transition. She sighed. After the sigh came the smile. And then she said, "How will singing this song be possible?" She drew the composer's attention, expressing her challenge over the music and citing its complexities. She said some of the notes written were impossible to achieve because the human voice cannot change notes that fast. When Eric examined her feedback, he shifted a foot backward, looked into the paper, and realized that he had been carried away by imagination and isolated his mind from reality. Following this realization, he nodded in agreement and asked Inva what could be done and how to proceed. After careful observation from the two parties, they got a perfect answer. The notes were performed in isolation, one by one. That is, instead of singing them together in succession and getting hooked on the sharp transition menace. She has to sing the note independently, and after the recording, the producer will string the patches together. That sounds like a brilliant idea, but not too perfect, though. When you pay close attention to the particular music, you will hear the differences in the vocal tones of the diva's voice. The difference might not be glaring, but it can be observed. Also, the music production team digitized the notes to fit the music. Digitalization has limitations. Such limitations are no longer present. With the help of digitally generated sound, there is an endless limit to the songs that can be made. As depicted in the movie, the technology used in the 23rd century was too old for the time it stretched into. Number 16, the movie budget. Just looking at the spectacular movie production, factoring in the science fiction nature, which involves lots of special effects and the like, it is easy to predict the movie to be expensive. The question is, how expensive is it? Before discussing the price, let's look at the record broken by the movie production regarding budget. Talk about the movie with the most expensive budget outside of Hollywood. The credit goes to the movie. There is one more. The movie is the most expensive production in Gaumont history. Hollywood is known for producers spending massive amounts to produce movies. There was even a version of Pirates of the Caribbean valued at over $300 million. That was a recent movie, so don't choke with amazement. But then, spending big is not a strange situation in Hollywood. But for the French movie industry, it is a groundbreaking record. Further investigation into the exquisite movie's budget revealed an estimated $80 million was spent on it. Remember, it was a 1997 movie. If the budget is transferred to today's value, we might have it shooting to above $150 million. The reason for the enormous budget is not far-fetched. A lot of special effects were invested in the movie. It is a movie depicting the 23rd century when the world is still in the 20th century. Therefore, a lot must be implemented to stimulate this futuristic world. Another report revealed that the visual effects budget of the movie was the highest of its time. However, the actual budget wasn't disclosed. There is an undeniable truth. The movie absorbs a lot of energy and finances. We must credit Besson for deciding to take the unimaginable risk. Number 15. How did Milla Jovovich get her orange-colored hair?
It was just like, oh, genius, I love it. Which, of course, ended up.
Was that divine too? Indeed, it wasn't divine. Milla Jovovich has a natural brown color, a cute hair color, though not pretty enough for the classic futuristic Lilu, who sports bright orange hair. You know the space is dark already. There is no need to add any more gloomy color. Let's get everything brightened up, just that Jovovich will be paying a big price for that decision. It has to be dyed to get Jovovich's hair color to orange. You know that orange is a bright color, so it easily loses brightness. The way out is to dye Jovovich's hair almost every time. That sounds ridiculous. What will happen to her hair? We all know the adverse effect that a dye gives to the hair. Certainly, Jovovich's hair won't be immune to such an effect. Voila, it turns out to be true. The adverse impact of the dye was so intense on her hair, the hair quickly became damaged and even got too broken to withstand any more dye. So they have brought it to the end point. What can be done? The production team scanned through different options and checked in other ideas. Then they got a perfect solution: a wig. A special wig that matched Lilu's hair color and style was created. Jovovich doesn't need to dye her hair anymore. The wig was used for the rest of the movie production. That was a good idea. At least it will give Jovovich's hair enough time to recover from the damage. Number 14. How did they get Bruce Willis in the movie cast?
For Bruce Willis, this was a challenge worth facing.
Anybody else want to go?
Bruce Willis gave the movie a perfect touch. His acting resonates with the true identity of a hero who wants to rescue humanity from catastrophe. During the 1990s, Bruce Willis was already a household name in Hollywood with many A-list movies to deal with. Getting him on a project could be a little uncertain because you might not know his schedule. Before we continue talking about Bruce Willis, what if he were not the original choice for the movie? Sounds strange. Let's do an investigation to know the absolute truth. The role of Corbin Dallas wasn't meant to go to Bruce Willis according to the initial plan of the movie producer. The person in the plan was Mel Gibson. How do we come about this truth? It was easy. During an interview in 2017, Besson revealed that Mel Gibson was the first choice for the role. He had sustained a friendship with Gibson during the consideration process. Sadly, it took Gibson 3 months to make the final decision about taking the role or not. When the answer came, it was not what Besson wanted. He turned down the role, leaving Besson at a crossroads to decide who would fill the vacant role. At this point, Bruce Willis came into the picture. Considering his busy schedule, what about if Bruce turns down the sudden proposal? Besson was fortunate this time. He traveled to New York meeting Bruce Willis for his proposal. Willis scanned the script, figured out the complex character and storyline, and loved it. It is an out-of-the-box idea, something that would give a new spike to his creativity and give his career a new perspective. He accepted it, but there was one other thing he would need to consider before jumping into the role: the salary. The Fifth Element, as revealed earlier, was a French movie. In that regard, the payment of wages will be different. If Willis expects to collect the same big salary he gets in Hollywood from acting in the movie, he would have to back off like Mel Gibson. An agreement was met. Willis agreed to reduce his salary, but on the basis that he would be allowed a percentage of the profits if the film was a box office success. We all know that the movie was not only a box office success, but also tore down every barrier internationally. Willis made more profit at the latter end. Bruce Willis sees through the lines and finds a future in the movie is worth commendation. A big thumbs up to him. Number 13, Gary Oldman repaid Luc Besson's favor.
Guys, and there's a perception, I guess, out there about me that I'm...
Talk about a good way to repay the old good, and then we have it here. You don't know when the reward will come when you do good. This saying characterized Luc's action when he lent a hand of help to Gary by partly financing his directorial project on the movie Nil by Mouth, 1997. Coincidentally, Besson also had a movie that same year. Gary could have said no, considering the project he had in hand, but he didn't do that, especially considering the favor Besson had done for him. Will he even be having a movie in the first place if there is no complete financing? Not. However, does the help translate to shutting down his movie production to support someone else? Not. There was a middle line that saved the whole confusion. Gary was on an 8-week break in his movie production. The break was enough to save time for filming Besson's movie. It is fascinating that Gary didn't read the script before opting in for the filming. A good friend indeed. He played the role perfectly, even though he didn't read the script before jumping in. Gary did more favors for Besson. After the movie was released in 1997, Gary devoted his time to attending the Cannes Film Festival and helped his good old friend promote the movie. He did that out of sheer love and loyalty. The good work got the attention of the public. Everyone wondered why Gary would take responsibility for the whole press junket. Was he paid for it? Of course, we all know where the whole energy is coming from. During an interview in 2014, he was asked a controversial question. Did he like the movie? or was he just pushing to do it to pay back an old favor? He said this, "It was me singing for my supper, because Luke had come in and partly financed my film." Do you realize that no part of the response hinted at liking the movie? The reason is that he had given a perfect answer to the question 3 years before the interview in 2011 when he said, "Oh no, I can't bear it." He loved the movie and is not pretending about it, at least to the best of our knowledge. Number 12. How was the Ruby Road character developed? The character of Ruby Road induced a good dose of comic action-packed movie. Road was flamboyant and talkative. He talked Aner. He talks too much, and could end up being a serious setback to Corbin and Lilu's mission. Shockingly, he ended up making a good ally with the two heroes. The concern in the video is how Luc Besson comes up with the creativity to develop memorable and astounding characters. It wasn't much work for him. According to the Ultimate Edition DVD, Besson was inspired by the popular musicians Prince and Michael Jackson in developing Ruby Road. The two superstars were considered to take the role, while the preference falls more on Prince. So what did Prince have to say about the eccentric character? He said the costumes were too outlandish. He might be an energetic and eccentric guy, but he, Ruby Road, has more than he can handle. Who could act the crazy role then? You trust the best bet, Chris Tucker, the great talker. When acting the unserious but essential character, Chris is not a strange face. His role in the Rush Hour franchise still rings a bell. However, he worked in the Rush Hour role a year after the Fifth Element movie. However, the 1997 movie Money Talks, where he couldn't hold his mouth but kept talking to con people, gave Besson a good hint as to the perfect cast for Ruby Road. That turned out to be a perfect choice. Chris has something important to say about the role. It will surely interest you. The funny actor claimed that the secrecy around the script was so high that not even he knew how the character was supposed to be played. How did he understand the character he was about to play then? Definitely through the outlandish costumes. He already knows no serious superhero will wear such a ridiculous costume. It certainly has to be a funny and unserious talkative superhero. Ultimately, the character's outcome depends on his improvisation and creativity. Just get the funny vest and give us a humorous character. Chris didn't disappoint in this regard. The reaction of other actors towards his performance was genuine. Chris's role saved the director much stress and energy. He already got the vibe. Bringing Prince into the character would have been a bit hard. Number 11. There could be more fictional creatures in the movie. We could have had more besides Ruby Road, Lilu, and other fictional characters in the movie. Do you say more with unbelief? Okay, get in for the shocker. There was a group of characters you didn't see in the film, although they were planned to appear. But as we will have it, the movie's duration was filled with many scenes, so some scenes had to be compressed. Nick Dudman's creature crew, the people involved in designing the creature, created a group of spindly, long-nosed alien garbage collectors. The creatures were meant to appear in one of the scenes at the spaceport. You remember that the spaceport was loaded up with garbage. Why was there so much garbage there? The reason is simple. There is a special group of workers called the garbage collectors who ought to tidy the space. It turned out that this group of workers was on strike. This was the responsibility of the long-nosed alien who didn't make it to the final cut. The plan was that the creature would have been seen amidst the garbage holding sandwich board signs reading "On Strike." Cutting them off would have saved the production team the hassle of spending extra money. An explanatory dialogue in a movie is enough to capture their existence. Not everything should come out in detail, if not for anything, to reduce the burden on the finances. Number 10. The Mondoshawans. The Mondoshawan creatures are the most complex in the movie production. Building each of the Mondoshawans was a hell of work. Nick Dudman of the creature building team confessed that building the creature suits was an entirely new level of complex work. The credit for the design of the Mondoshawans goes to illustrator Jacques Ray. Monique Brown was the animatronic designer behind the creature. She also complained about the complexities attached to achieving her task. She said the elliptical shape of the design was a complex thing for them to succeed. The more difficult task goes to the special effects team. They spent a big lump of time planning for the proper understructure of the Mondoshawan suits. They experimented with a foam mock-up test suit, but finally resorted to using the external covering of fiberglass as the final material. Filming the Mondoshawans was hard. 4 crew members puppeteered each Mondoshawan. The heat in the suit could get someone cooked, Hence, only short sequences could be shot single-handedly. However, the most complex scene that featured the Mondashawans was their arrival in the ancient temple. Dudman recalled, "When we did the scene, they were all walking down the corridor. There were 6 people, all with walkie-talkies saying, 'Left of it, slow down, slow down.'" Coordinating the 6 performers was enormous and complex work. It wasn't perfect. Little lapses can be observed in the final film. Let's drop off the talk about the Mondashawan suits with this weird fact. The actors in the Mondashawan suits used mini television monitors to see where they were going, and it took 3 people 20 minutes to dress one Mondashawan. That is huge. Number 9, the legal tussle that followed the movie. After the movie's release, Luc Besson had an issue to settle with Alejandro Jodorowsky and Jean Moebius Giraud. What were their complaints? The art designers claimed that Besson had plagiarized their comic, The Incal. That was a serious allegation. Besson will need to cough up big money if found guilty. Giraud will be paid 13.1 million euros if his allegation of unfair competition is true. He would be getting 9 million euros in damages and interest, and 2 to 5% of the movie's net operating revenues. Giraud could have sued for the total profit of the movie, considering the exorbitant penalty he charged. Did he forget he was hired to work on the film before making the allegation? Perhaps he was just trying to be greedy. On the other hand, Jodorowsky was considerate in his lawsuit. He only sued for 700,000 euros. However, the bogus and small allegations were dismissed in court in 2004. The basis for judgment was simple. Only tiny fragments of the comic had been used. Besides, Giraud is part of the movie production crew. Why the contraction? Maybe Giraud was trying to bite off more than he could chew. Number 8. What you don't know about the Lilu character. Have you ever considered knowing Lilu's full name? That won't be a good idea. The full name comprises about 50 letters and is undoubtedly hard to pronounce. If the full name wasn't used in the movie, how do we get to know it? Various media sources revealed the full name, including Luc Besson's movie diary, The Adventure and Discovery of a Film, The Story of the Fifth Element. You can access the diary if you want to know the name's pronunciation. A French promotional poster was seen in a subway to advertise the movie and the video game. Then a misspelling, Le Carariba, was used. This misspelling was based on the script and transferred to the video subtitles. Lilu made a perfect pronunciation of her middle name, making the T sound hard. Apart from the name, another fact was that many women were auditioned for the character, while a small number of prominent actresses were considered. Elizabeth Berkley auditioned for the role of Lilu and could have been considered. Unfortunately, the failure of Showgirls in 1995 raised the odds against her. Many studios were reluctant to hire her. Julia Roberts was another prominent actress who was considered for the highly sought role. That didn't work either, making Milla Jovovich the final lucky choice. Number 7. Number 5 appears in the movie on several occasions. The movie is not just titled The Fifth Element for nothing, and the film emphasizes giving it 5, giving it symbolic meaning throughout the movie. Apart from the title, which carried the number 5, the number appeared several times. Do you realize that Corbin Dallas's license had 5 points left? You may call that a coincidence. What will you call when Zorg stops his bomb with 5 seconds remaining on the timer? Moving on, did you also observe that the Mangalore's bomb starts with the same 5-second timer? Ruby Road also used the number 5 on 2 occasions. Do you remember near the end of the movie, immediately after the alien planet was stopped, he uttered the words, "There is a bomb going off every 5 minutes"? Then the Doctor joins the train of the character that used the 5-word symbol, saying, "Lilu and Corbin need 5 more minutes." Why was Ruby Road's show also scheduled at 5 o'clock? Strange, right? The movie producer knew what they were doing. They were trying to pin important events on the number 5, giving it a divine meaning, just as the fifth element carries the Earth's rescue power from the coming destruction. We can only credit creativity for achieving these connections. Number 6. The inconsistency in the date. Following the movie from the beginning, you will realize that the movie began in Egypt in 1914. The period was marked by the arrival of Mondashawans at the temple. Before the scene went off, one told the priest what would happen. He said that in 300 years, when evil returns, so will they. Did the 300-year vision come into existence? Indeed it did, immediately after the scene. The next scene was displayed 300 years later on the screen. In the scene, there was Corbin, who was waking up from sleep. This happened suddenly after the dark planet destroyed the military spaceship. When you take a deep look above his head, there is a yellow ticket placed there. The ticket indicated the date and time of 2 a.m., March 18, year 2263. Calculating the difference of that year with 1914, when the prophecy was made, you will realize that makes up 349 years. However, the year displayed on the screen was 300 years later in the new future. What could have happened? Certainly a mistake. Number 5. Corbin's strange reaction to the first meeting with Lilu. You might think Bruce's reaction when he first met Lilu was another part of the script. Strangely, it was not. He acted lost when Lilu communicated to him in divine language. At that moment, he was like, "What are you saying, alien?" Bruce's reaction was natural. Luke Besson didn't tell Bruce Willis what Milla Jovovich would say to him. All that was coming to his ear at that moment was a bunch of gibberish. Number 4. The hero and the villain never met. It is a typical pattern for the hero and the villain to meet at one point or another, at least for a final fight. The fifth element turned the style in a different direction. Do you realize that Corbin Dallas, the hero, and Jean-Baptiste Zorg, the villain, never meet, nor do they converse throughout the movie? They were only aware of each other's existence. How were they aware of each other? Corbin was one of the workers in Zorg's company. His popularity as the one who won the company's contest got his name into Zorg's memory. Aside from that, they shared no connecting relationship. Weirdly, the characters weren't aware of their involvement in getting the stones, which made up the main plot. Their path almost crossed in a scene. The scene at the end where Corbin fled towards Floston's hotel's hangar while Zorg was just returning from it. They passed the same route at different times, but were in the same camera shot together for just a few frames. What is the idea behind the style? Number 3. Triangles, featured frequently in the movie. Do you notice the frequent appearance of triangles in the movie? Someone in the movie production crew adores triangles. A triangle appeared on the Egyptian ruins. You can also see it on the displays of the planet alignment. It is also noticeable in the missile formation fired from the cruiser. Finally, do you observe that the stones are prisms, another component of triangles? Number 5 is not the only phenomenon repeated in the movie. Add the triangular shape. Number 2, the customized car. A frequent scene in the movie is the visual effects with flying cars all over New York City. The bus was customized uniquely. In doing that, the visual effects team was instructed to customize one bus with the shot name carrying digital domain, the facility responsible for most visual effects, while the other buses could have personal information like birthdays, initials, and whatever suits them. You might not notice this customization due to the rapid traffic of the bus, but when you slow the video down, you might encounter some nasty stuff. You can give it a try when you next watch the movie. Number 1, the positive feedback from the cast. Let's wrap it up with the positive feedback given by the cast. Bruce Willis gave a suitable remark for the movie. During an interview in 1999, he spoke kindly about the film, saying, "It was an entertaining movie to make." Indeed it was, judging by the fun he had in the movie fighting megalodons and the funds that came in through the movie's commercial success. Following Bruce's remark, let's discuss Chris Tucker and Milla Jovovich's comments. Well, they didn't speak much, they only praised Luke Besson. Jovovich admired the creative director, saying, "The first amazing director I had worked with." Judging by the top-class movies that Besson produced after then, we can undoubtedly affirm that he is truly amazing. Besson sacrificed what could have been his own most significant personal gains to ensure the movie received nothing less than his very best. From the start, he poured himself into every detail, determined to bring his vision to life without shortcuts. But as filming progressed, the reality of production costs began to bite hard. The budget that had once seemed sufficient could no longer sustain the scale and quality the story demanded. At that point, he faced a difficult choice: make compromises that would inevitably lower the movie's value or take the risk of pushing forward with additional financing. Lesser directors might have scaled back, trimming scenes, cutting effects, or settling for good enough. Besson refused. He doubled down, securing more funds and pushing his team to keep reaching for their set standard. His decision was not made on a gamble of luck, but on the conviction that audiences deserved the experience he envisioned. The eventual commercial success of the film was not an accident. It was the result of relentless hard work from the entire production crew and the dedication of the cast, who gave performances that matched his ambition. Every dollar, every extra hour, and every ounce of creative energy became part of a final product that proved that passion, discipline, and an unwillingness to compromise can turn risk into triumph. The list certainly includes amazing facts. Comment and let us know which one amazed you more. Like and share this video, subscribe, and click the following video on your screen.